The message echoed across the stars one last time. This is Earth Command. We are under attack. Colony Theta 5 is falling. We request immediate support. Anyone please respond. Silence. No answer. No signal. Not even static. In the control room, on Earth, Commander Alina Voss stared at the dark communication screen. Her fingers trembled as she adjusted the settings again. Still nothing. She leaned closer, her voice shaking. Send it again, on all frequencies. The young officer beside her nodded. Yes, ma'am. The message repeated, bouncing across space like a ghost. But space didn't speak back. Outside Earth's orbit, the sky looked normal, filled with stars. But something was wrong. Over the last 3 weeks, 6 human colonies had gone dark. No warning, no survivors, just silence. The last report from Theta 5 said, only this, we're seeing something. It's not on sensors, but it's here, it's watching. Then nothing. Try Zyron Command again, Alina said. Already did, ma'am. No response. What about the Kortha Valari? Same. No one's answering. Elena's heart sank. These were supposed to be Earth's allies. Treaties signed. Promises made. Shared victories in past wars. And now, when Earth cried out for help, the galaxy gave back only silence. She looked around the room. The faces were pale, eyes wide. Everyone knew what this meant. Earth was alone. Bring up satellite feeds, Alina ordered. The screen flickered, then static, then black. What the hell is going on? She whispered. One technician spoke up. Satellites over sector Z47 just vanished. Same in Z59, Z63, and Z70. It's spreading. She turned to General Marcus Kale, who stood silently near the back wall. Marcus, we need to call an emergency meeting with the Council. We need them to send support. Kale didn't move. Alina, he said calmly. They're not coming. You know that. She stared at him. We're part of the Galactic Council. They're obligated. They were obligated, Kale said. But we've seen this before. They don't help dying races. They wait and then take what's left. She shook her head. That's impossible. The Zyron helped us build our moon base. The Valari shared their medical tech. The Korth stood with us during the Sirax Wars. Kale stepped forward. His face was cold and still. They stood with us when it was useful. Now, we're just another weight. They're cutting us loose. Just then, a beeping sound echoed from the control panel. An alert. Incoming data, the technician said. Put it up, Alina ordered. A live feed appeared from a deep space drone. It showed Colony Theta 5, or what was left of it. There was no city, no light, just burning ground and floating debris. Then, something moved. A shadow passed over the ruins. It didn't show on sensors. No heat, no energy signature. But the cameras caught a glimpse, huge, tall and slow. Not a ship, not a fleet. Something else. What is that? Someone whispered no. One answered dot. Then the feed cut out. Alina felt her throat close. How many people were there? 23,000. No survivors, no escape pods, no beacons. Kale finally spoke. It's not just war, it's extermination. A heavy silence fell across the room. Alina looked up at the galactic map. Red blips marked the lost colonies. Yellow marked the ones still online. Too many reds. We can't stop this alone. Kale turned to her. Then stop asking for help, he said. We fight alone, if we must. She looked at him. Do we even have a plan? He nodded once. I'll activate Protocol Revenant. Elena's eyes widened. That protocol was banned. Even the Council agreed. The Council isn't here, Kale said. The room fell silent. What is Protocol Revenant? A young officer asked. Kale stepped forward. A backup plan, designed when Earth still feared the galaxy. Hidden warships, AI systems, weapons no one knows exist. We built it in case every ally turned on us, and now, Alina asked. Kale's eyes hardened. Now we use it. The technician looked confused. You're saying Earth has secret weapons? Kale didn't smile. Earth has secrets the galaxy hoped we'd never remember. Alina hesitated. Her training told her to follow rules, to seek diplomacy. But rules didn't matter now, all right, she said. Activate Revenant. Kale nodded. At that moment, deep below the Pacific Ocean, a forgotten vault powered on. Old lights flickered. A cold voice whispered through dark halls. "Revenant? Protocol confirmed. System awakening." In orbit above Mars, a black satellite spun slowly. Its core pulsed once, then again, then it vanished. Jumping into deep space, back in the command room. A warning flashed. "Unauthorized movement detected," the system said. "Ship ID, Revenant Class, Unit 1. Codename, Oblivion." Alina turned to Kale. "It's already moving. It knows what to do," Kale replied. "It was designed for this." The technician looked nervous. "Designed for what?" Kale didn't blink. For the day humanity stood alone. Hours passed, no new messages came in. No help, just darkness. Alina sat alone in the observation deck, looking up at the stars. They looked beautiful, peaceful, but she knew better now. The stars were not peaceful. The galaxy was cruel. Civilizations rose and fell, and no one stopped to mourn them. "We begged," she whispered, "and no one listened." Behind her, Kale walked in quietly. "They made a choice. Now we make ours." She turned to him. "Will we survive this?" He didn't answer at first then. He said, "Maybe not, but we won't vanish quietly. We'll remind them who we are." She nodded slowly. In the distance, a flash of light blinked once near Pluto. A revenant ship, waking up far from Earth in a hidden council chamber. Alien leaders watched the same flash through their private feeds. "The humans have activated Revenant," one said. Another trembled. "They were never supposed to use that." A third. Alien leaned forward, eyes narrow. "We thought they would beg us forever." "No," the first replied. "They've stopped begging." A long silence followed. Then the chamber lights dimmed, because even the galaxy now realized humanity had been silent. But now it had awakened, and it would not ask again. A human listening post captures a private alien message. "Humanity won't survive this month. Let them burn." At that moment, Earth knows the truth. No help is coming, not ever. So they stop asking and begin preparing for war. The cold message came from deep space, sent through an encrypted alien channel. The human listening post wasn't meant to hear it, but the AI inside Revenant Protocol was already watching everything. When it found the message, it sent it straight to Earth Command. Commander Alina Voss stood in silence as the audio played. "This is Zyran High Command. The humans are finished. We've done our part. No more aid, no more calls. Let them burn. The Council will not act. Humanity won't last the month." The words hit like knives across the room. Officers and analysts sat frozen. No one said anything. Even the air felt heavier now. Alina clenched her fists. "So that's it," she said quietly. It was never just silence. It was betrayal. General Kale stood behind her, arms crossed, face hard as stone. "They always feared we'd grow too strong. Now they've made their move." She turned. To him, "Do we have proof this message is real?" Kale nodded. "Yes. Revenant's AI verified the signal origin and language patterns. It's genuine." "What about the Korth and Valari? They've gone dark too." All three have pulled their ambassadors from Earth. Quietly, they didn't even say goodbye. The truth was now plain. Earth had been abandoned. Not by accident. By design. Alina looked at the star map. All the colonies that had fallen were along the same path, the outer rim near Valera-controlled space. So they knew what was coming. She whispered. Kale stepped forward. They didn't just know, they planned around it. Someone unleashed this thing, this enemy. They let it do the work for them. And now we're next. Kale didn't answer. He didn't need to. Suddenly, alarms blared across the command. Center. Multiple unknown energy spikes Sector 12. One officer shouted. "It's close to Colony Eos Elena's." Eyes snapped to the screen. "That's one of our last major settlements. Contact lost with their defense grid." Another voice said. "No visuals, no beacons." "No," Alina said, stepping forward. "We won't lose another one." She turned to Kale. "Send something." He nodded. At that moment, one of the Revenant ships, Oblivion, was already waiting, thousands of kilometers above Earth, in a high-orbit hangar hidden inside a dead asteroid. The Oblivion sat in silence. It wasn't like other human ships. Its outer hull absorbed light. It had no visible engines. No windows. No signs of life, but inside, it was awake. Its voice echoed softly across empty chambers. Mission received. Destination, EOS colony, parameters, full suppression, authorization, level red. The ship vanished, no light, no sound, just gone. Then, minutes later, above EOS, it appeared, the sky over EOS turned black. Civilians looked up, expecting enemy ships, but nothing moved. Then, without warning, every attacking object ships, drones, entities froze in place. Time itself seemed to slow. The enemy's weapons shut down. And then, they shattered, not exploded. Shattered. As if every atom had forgotten how to hold itself together. 1 second, the enemy fleet hovered above the colony. The next, it was dust. No human ships were seen. No human soldiers arrived. Just one strange shadow in the clouds. Then silenced again. But this time, it was Earth's silence. Controlled. Cold. Deliberate. Back on Earth. The command center watched the feed in real time. The room stayed quiet for a long moment. Then someone finally asked, Was that Oblivion? Kale nodded once. Yes. What weapon did it use? Alina asked. Doesn't matter, he replied. They won't know either. That's the point. She stared at him. That wasn't a battle. That was an execution. Kale looked at her. Good. Hours later, alien networks across the galaxy picked up the broadcast. Earth's signal, once ignored now, played everywhere. It was short, a still image of EOS colony. Untouched, then a voice scales. You left us, betrayed us, lied to us, no more than silence. No threats, no anger, just the truth. And the galaxy trembled. In a distant chamber, the Galactic Council gathered again. The Valari ambassador spoke first. We must respond. That weapon, whatever it is, it's beyond protocol. The Korth elder shook his head. We agreed to let them fall, not to provoke them. The Zyran High Lord leaned forward. They destroyed an entire fleet. We must end them now. But how? Another voice asked. They have revenant ships. We don't know how many. We don't even know where they are. An eerie pause followed. They're not asking for peace, the Valari said quietly. They're not asking at all. Back on Earth, Alina walked through the hangars of the Revenant facility. Massive black ships lined the walls. Some were still inactive. Others hummed softly. She found Kale standing beside a sealed chamber. Inside it, strange armored suits stood tall, almost human, but not quite. What are these? She asked. Kale didn't look away. Project Chimera, she frowned. That was shut down after the Europa trials. Too dangerous, he nodded. It's time to reopen it. You think machines alone aren't enough? No machines can destroy. But this enemy? It's not just about power. It's fear, pain, memory. We need more than weapons. She looked at the figures behind the glass. They're not human anymore. Kale's voice was quiet. Neither are we outside. The Earth Defense Network came back online. Satellites were repaired. New stations launched. Old AI systems reactivated. Earth was arming itself, not for defense, but for retribution. At the edge of the solar system, a human scout ship sent one final message before vanishing. We've seen it. It's something else. It doesn't use engines. It doesn't speak, but it watches. And it moves between stars like smoke. We tried to scan it. We tried to run. We shouldn't have. Then static. That sector went dark. Next, no wreckage was found. Just empty silence. Kale stood before Earth's High Command later that night. We have two options, he said. Wait and hope they leave us alone. Or strike first. One officer stood. Strike who? The Council. The Zyran. The thing killing colonies. All of them, Kyle said. Alina looked at him. You're talking about a war against the galaxy. No, Kale said. I'm talking about making sure the galaxy never dares betray us again. And so Earth began its final phase of preparation. Ships were built in silence. Chimera units were awakened, their minds filled with pain and fire. The stars watched, unsure of what was coming next. But for the first time in history, Earth didn't. Ask. Earth didn't beg. Earth remembered. And the galaxy would soon regret everything. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, an old system activates. Red lights glow, forgotten codes run through rusted walls. An AI speaks one word, Revenant, online. Earth's most dangerous weapon has awakened. The water above was calm. Across the surface of the Pacific Ocean, like nothing had changed. The sky was blue, the birds flew, and no one on Earth could see what now moved deep beneath the waves. Miles below, inside a forgotten trench, an ancient metal door groaned open. Light burst from inside, red and cold. Dust fell from the ceiling as the underground vault began to shake. Inside, machines hummed after decades of silence. Steel walls lit up with strange symbols. Chambers opened. Old air hissed out. And then, a voice echoed through the facility. Revenant Protocol. Confirmed. The AI was awake, not just a program, but something far older, built during the darkest years of Earth's wars with the stars. It had been locked away, shut down, sealed forever, until now, the AI scanned the Earth's satellite network. Colonial loss, 89%. Galactic allies, 0. Threat status, extinction level. Directive, engage all available assets. Inside the vault, black ships began to stir. On Earth's surface, General Kale stood inside the main war room. Dozens of officers watched as the global map turned red. Dots appeared Revenant units rising from hidden bases, some under mountains, some inside abandoned moon stations, others from beneath oceans. Alina Voss entered the room, her face pale. "I just got the update. Are these real?" she asked. Kale nodded. "Every one." "How many ships?" she asked. 49, he replied. "But they're not just ships. They're weapons we were never allowed to use." She looked at the screen, eyes wide. "You mean AI-controlled?" Kale nodded. "Some others are worse." An officer raised his hand. "Worse? How?" "Sir?" Kale didn't answer right away. He looked out the window at the sky. "They don't ask questions. They don't wait for orders. They see the threat and erase it." The officer gulped. "Are they safe to use?" Kale said nothing. Alina turned to him. "We're really doing this, aren't we?" Kale replied. "They left us with no other choice." Inside the Pacific Vault, the first ship rose. It looked like a long black blade sharp, silent and endless in length. No windows, no markings. It hovered in the water for a moment, then rose through the sea like a shadow breaking the surface. Above, fishing boats rocked violently. Waves crashed in all directions. A sailor screamed as a giant black shape lifted into the sky. And then it vanished. No engine sound, no fire trail. It just disappeared. The name of the ship glowed briefly on the side before fading. Wraith 9 back at Earth Command. Kale gave new orders. "Send Wraith 9 to Sector Z59, he said. "That was our largest. Mining station? It's already gone," one officer whispered. Kale's voice was cold. "Then I want to know who erased it." Another officer spoke. "Sir, the Council is broadcasting. They've seen the ship. They're demanding we shut it down." Alina frowned. "Now they want to talk." Kale turned slowly. "Tell them. The galaxy stayed silent when we begged for help. Now we return the silence." The officer hesitated. "Sir, you heard me," Kale said. No response. "Let them feel what we felt." On the other side of the galaxy, inside the council chambers, panic grew. A Valari admiral stood with shaking hands. Their weapon just destroyed a surveillance fleet near the outer ring. Not disabled, destroyed. No wreckage, no warning. Ziran diplomat shouted, "We must attack now." Before more of these ships appear, the Korth representative was silent for a long moment. Then he said, "You should not have betrayed them." "You agreed?" the Ziran snapped. "We all agreed to let them fall." "No," the Korth said, his eyes full of dread. "I only agreed because I thought they would never awaken that system I thought humanity had forgotten." The Ziran whispered. They didn't forget. They waited. Back on Earth, inside another hidden facility in Iceland, Kale stood before a black chamber. Alina stood beside him, uncertain. "What is this?" she asked. Kale placed his hand on the sensor. The door hissed open. Inside, rows of dark metal coffins lined the walls. Strange breathing sounds echoed from within. "These," Kale said, "are the Chimera." She stared at him. "I thought they were just a myth." "Failed super soldier projects. Mutations." "They're not myths," Kale said. "They were frozen after the Europa War. Too unstable, too angry. You want to wake them. Kale looked. Into the dark? I don't want to. I have to. Alina stepped back. They're not human anymore. No, Kale said, but neither is the enemy. He touched a button on the wall. The coffins began to open one by one, and what came out? Didn't speak, didn't blink, didn't smile. They just stood, tall, pale, armored, eyes glowing red, waiting far above Earth. The Revenant ships took positions across the system. Oblivion hovered near Mars, invisible to sensors. Wraithnine patrolled the outer rim. 3 more units joined: Phantom 3, Reaper 7, and Shade-12. Each carried different weapons. Some erased energy. Some crushed gravity. One simply made targets disappear from time itself. Inside their AI minds, they shared one goal: protect Earth, destroy threats, show no mercy. Back at Earth Command, Alina watched the screens light up. All systems online, an officer said. Earth is under Revenant protection. Kale stood before them all. We begged, they ignored us. Now we rise alone, he said. His voice echoed through every military station, every colony, every hidden post. No more waiting, no more weakness. Earth is ready. The officers stood, one by one, in silence. They knew this war was no longer about survival. It was about memory, revenge, justice, and the stars. Would never forget what came next. A Zyran-controlled human colony declares independence from Earth. Minutes later, a shadow crosses its skies. In less than 2 minutes, the colony is silent. No explosions, no survivors, just ash. The galaxy watches in horror, but Earth doesn't respond. They've already moved on to the next target. The skies over Theta Prime were bright and calm. It was a beautiful world, once a gift from the Zyran to humanity after the First Alliance War. Lush green valleys, silver rivers, floating cities. It had become home to over 70,000 humans. Families, engineers, scientists. Now it was no longer Earth's. 3 weeks ago, a Zyran diplomat stood before the Colony Council and made an offer. The Earth cannot protect you, he said. Join us. We will give you safety. And they did. The human governor of Theta Prime signed the pact. They removed the Terran banners. They raised the Zyran flag. They chose comfort over loyalty, and Earth noticed. In Earth Command, the room was quiet. General Kale stood before a dark screen. It showed Theta Primate's weather, population, defense systems, all monitored in silence. Commander Alina Voss read the report aloud. The Colony Council has declared independence. They've sworn allegiance to the Zyran Empire. No response from Earth will be accepted. She looked up. They've turned their backs on us. Kale didn't blink. Then we turn our backs on them. Alina paused. You want to let it go? Kale's voice was cold. No, I want to erase it. One officer nearby whispered, Sir, there are still civilians there, children. Kale turned slowly. So we're there on Theta 5, Theta 7, and New Europa. Did that stop our enemies? The officer looked down. Kale spoke again, calmly. This is not about rage. This is about memory. The galaxy forgot who we are. We will help them remember. He turned toward the AI interface. Deploy Oblivion. High above Earth, the Revenant warship Oblivion waited in silence. No crew, no bridge. Only its Koran, ancient Terran AI that had once overseen planetary destruction during the Lost Black Wars. It received Kale's message. Target, Theta Prime. Protocol, full cleansing. No communication, no delay. Oblivion didn't respond. It vanished from Mars orbit in a blink, less than 12 seconds later. It arrived at Theta Prime. The people of Theta Prime looked up. There was no warning, no lights, no missiles, just a dark shadow moving across the clouds. The Zyran planetary defense systems activated too late. Their scanners couldn't detect anything. No heat, no radiation. The shadow didn't fire a weapon. It just existed. And in the next moment, reality bent. The floating cities began to shake. Windows cracked, metal bent inwards. The sky turned black dot, and then silence. No noise, no screams, just nothing. Every signal from Theta Prime ceased in less than 2 minutes. Every camera feed, every sensor, Every heartbeat gone dot back at Earth. Command, a red dot blinked out on the screen. Alina whispered, "Is that it?" Cale nodded. "Yes." One officer looked shocked. "They're all gone. Oblivion leaves nothing," Cale said. "That was its purpose." Alina looked at him. "We could have warned them. We could have given them a chance to surrender." Cale's jaw tightened. "We gave them our flag. They chose another in the Galactic Council Hall." Chaos broke out. They destroyed an entire planet. The Zyran ambassador shouted. "Destroyed their own people." Another cried. The Valari Prime Minister stood with trembling arms. This was not defense. This was an act of terror. But the Quarth Elder said nothing. He stared at the burned image of Theta Prime on the screen. Then he spoke quietly. No, this was a message. Everyone turned toward him. He pointed to the smoke on the recording. They wanted us to watch. They wanted us to see what happens to those who betray Earth. On a news channel orbiting the Council world, a journalist. Read the transmission. This just in. Theta Prime, a human colony under Zyran protection, has been completely erased. No survivors. No warning. The weapon used is unknown, but signs point to the Terran warship Oblivion part of Earth's newly revealed Revenant Protocol. The anchor paused, then added, "This marks the 4th colony destroyed in the past. Month Earth has not answered Council messages. Galactic tension is rising." The feed cut to black dot in a hidden chamber below Earth's surface. Cale met with the Revenant AI directly. The chamber was round, silent, filled with black panels. The AI's voice was soft, almost human. "You have authorized planetary destruction," it said. "Do you wish to continue this path?" Cale looked at the glowing red symbol in the air. "Yes," he said, "until the stars remember our pain." The AI paused. "Warning, continued actions may provoke full-scale galactic retaliation." Cale said, "Let them come." Meanwhile, Alina visited a ruined building in northern Europan, old civilian shelter. Once used during alien raids, families used to hide there. It was covered in dust. Now she sat alone on a bench. A young soldier approached her, Commander Voss. She looked up. Yes, he looked nervous. "Is it true we destroyed Theta Prime?" She nodded, but weren't they our people? She sighed. They were, until they weren't. He didn't understand. He was too young. He still believed in fairness, in mercy. She didn't blame him. "You'll understand one day," she said softly. "This war isn't about planets. It's about who remembers us." Back on the edge of known space, more Revenant ships activated. Rathanine returned from a scouting mission. Reaper 7 deployed near the Andari belt, and then something new appeared. A ship that hadn't moved in 200 years. Its name? Vindicator. It was larger than the others, angular, armored like a fortress. The AI voice inside it woke slowly. "Vindicator, online. Protocol Black Sky confirmed. Its mission, unknown to everyone, except Cale." But the ship didn't wait. It began its journey toward the center of Council space in Council chambers. Another emergency meeting was called, they argued. They blamed each other. The Zyran demanded retaliation. The Quarth suggested negotiation. The Valari wanted surveillance, but one race remained silent. The Dravari, they had seen Earth's ancient power once. Thousands of years ago. Back then, Earth had been weaker alone, primitive, and still they had survived. Now, Earth had technology no one understood. Ships that defied sensors, weapons that erased matter. The Dravari ambassador stood. "We made a mistake," he said. Everyone turned toward him. "We should have answered when they called for help." Now, they are no longer asking back on Earth. Cale looked up at the sky. One by one, stars blinked through the clouds. They looked peaceful again, but they weren't. Now the stars were witnesses. Earth was alone, but it was no longer weak, and somewhere, beyond them, other traitors waited. Cale whispered to himself, "Let them watch. Let them fear. Let them burn." In a frozen bunker beneath Antarctica, a warning sign glows red, "Do not open under any circumstance." But Cale ignores it. He presses his palm against the cold door. Inside, something breathes, something once human, and now forgotten by time. Earth's darkest soldiers are waking. The bunker had no name. It was built before the Galactic Council even knew Earth existed. Back when humanity still feared the stars, still looked up at them with wonder and dread. Now, the bunker was buried under 4 miles of ice. The winds outside screamed, but nothing could enter. Inside, it was quiet, cold, lifeless. Until now, a panel lit up on the main door, symbols glowed. A red light blinked steadily, and then the system whispered in a broken voice. Vault 13 accessed. Chimera unit status, dormant. Awakening sequence initiated. The warning sign above the door flashed brightly. Danger. Do not activate humanity. Must never walk this path. But Kale had already made his choice. Back at Earth Command, Alina Voss sat beside a console, staring at the list of lost colonies, 17 now. 17 human colonies gone, erased. Some had been taken by the mysterious enemy. Eyes, we're running out of time, she said quietly. Kale entered the room. His face was calm, his eyes colder than ever. We're done reacting, he said. She looked at him. What do you mean? I've reactivated Project Chimera. She froze. You? What? It's already done. Alina stood. Kaling. Those soldiers were banned for a reason. They don't follow orders. They destroy everything. Kale nodded. Alina took a breath. How many are there? Kale answered 72. Grown, modified, enhanced. Not machines. Not clones. Something else. The last generation of human war beasts. And now they're waking up. Strange scars. Muscles enhanced beyond human limits. Their eyes opened, not with confusion, but with awareness. They didn't speak. They didn't panic. They just stepped out, silent, watching, listening. Each of them had memories burned deep into their minds, memories of war, of pain, of betrayal. They had once served Earth in secret wars that no one dared record. Then they were sealed away, too powerful, too broken. They were being called again. A voice echoed through the vault. Chimera, unit awaken. Earth requires you, and they moved. One of them, Unit 07, stepped into the command chamber inside the vault. Kale stood waiting. Another nod. You remember why you were locked away. This time, the soldier smiled faintly. It was not a kind smile. Yes, he said. His voice was rough, cracked, like old metal grinding. Because the galaxy feared us. Kale nodded. They still should. He turned to the others. Now standing behind him, tall, armored, brutal. We have new enemies, Kale said, but this time we won't hold back. On the battlefield of Draxia V, a small human colony was under attack. Alien mercenaries surrounded it. Paid killers from the Valari Syndicate, hired to claim Earth's last border world. The colonists had no ships, no weapons, only walls made of stone and old metal. They waited for death. But death came from the sky in a different form. 7 objects fell. No engines, no ships, just black capsules. Landing with earth-shaking force, the mercenaries paused. Then the capsules opened. The Chimera stepped out, no guns, no armor, just them. And in under 5 minutes, not one mercenary was left breathing. Some were torn apart, some fled to be hunted and silenced. The colonists didn't cheer. They didn't speak. They watched in horror as the Chimera stood in the blood-soaked dust, staring at the stars. One of them whispered, "What are they?" And the answer came from an old woman nearby who had once served in the Earth Defense Force. They're the ghosts of the war we buried, and now they've come back to finish it. The council saw the reports that the Zyran called an emergency session. They've released the Chimeras. Their ambassador screamed, "This is madness." The Valari sat in silence, trying to hide their fear. They destroyed 30 of our soldiers without firing a shot, one council member said. They're monsters. No, the Korth elder said slowly. They're humans. We just forgot what they really were. Back on Earth, Alina stood in front of the training facility where the Chimera now gathered. She watched one of them. Unit 13 lift a tank like it was paper. Another one ran across the field faster than a fighter jet. Terrifying, she said. Calais stood beside her. They're ours. How do you control them? I don't. I give them a target. And if they choose the wrong one, Kale looked at her. Then we remind them what they were made for. Inside, a secure conference room, Kale met with his top officers. We're forming the Human Legion, he said. A new army. Chimera soldiers, AI command? No more diplomats. No more treaties. Just action. And who's the first target? Kale pressed a button. A hologram appeared. Valari High Command Base, Hidden Fortress. Nebula Sector 14. They were the first to betray us, Kale said. Now, they'll be the first to fall. Far away in deep space, a Valari ship picked up strange signals. They thought it was a ghost. They were wrong. A Chimera boarding pod attached to the ship, silently. The crew had no time to react, one by one. The lights went out. When a rescue team finally arrived 12 hours later, they found only two things: an empty ship and the words "we remember" scratched into the captain's wall. Back on Earth, Alina spoke to Kale for the last time that day. "You're turning us into something else," she said. "Something darker?" Kale didn't disagree. "We were always this," he said. "We just hid it behind words." Alina looked at the night sky. "What happens when there's no one left to fight?" Kale answered softly. "Then we rest." But not before. The Chimera stood in silence. Ready? The Revenant ships glided through space like shadows, and Earth, once forgotten, weren't just soldiers, they were vengeance, shaped by human hands. Inside the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, leaders from every powerful alien race gather in panic. The lights flicker. A human signal hijacks every screen. One sentence appears: "You chose silence, now hear ours." The signal cuts. The galaxy realizes Earth no longer wants peace. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was built to inspire unity. Its domed ceiling showed the stars. The floor was polished blackstone from the shattered moons of Lyrae. Hundreds of diplomats, warriors, and rulers from across the galaxy stood at their seats, nervous, whispering, watching. For days, every outer world had gone dark. Human Revenant ships were seen near Council-line systems. The Zyran called it sabotage. The Valari demanded retaliation. The Korth said nothing. The head of the Council, a six-eyed being known as Talvek, slammed the core staff down. "This Council is an emergency session. Earth has unleashed forbidden weapons, Revenant-class ships, Chimera soldiers. Civilian colonies have been destroyed without warning." He turned his 6 eyes toward the Zyran ambassador. "You said Earth would surrender if we isolated them." The Zyran, pale and sweating, replied, "They were supposed to break. They were alone." "Alone," Talvek hissed.
They are
"Winning." At that moment, the lights dimmed. A low hum echoed across the hall. All screens turned black dot and then static. Then, a human face appeared. It was General Kale. He looked straight into the camera, his eyes calm, voice clear. "This is Earth Command. You left us to die. You watched as our colonies were destroyed. You chose silence." He leaned forward slightly. "So now, we answer." The screen cut to black. One sentence remained: "We will speak with fire." The entire council chamber erupted into chaos. Outside the hall, the Korth elder walked alone. He was old, wise, and quiet, but even he had never seen the council this afraid. A young Valari diplomat ran after him. "Elder, why aren't you speaking? Why aren't you stopping this?" The Korth didn't answer immediately. He walked to a viewing window that showed the stars. Then he spoke softly. "I remember when Earth first joined the galaxy." The Valari frowned. "That was 300 years ago." The elder nodded. "We laughed at them, weak, primitive, emotional. But we were wrong." He pointed at the stars. "They remember pain, and they never forget betrayal." On Valari Prime, panic spread. Shuttles left the cities. Military units mobilized. Everyone expected a human strike, but it didn't come. Not at first. Instead, the skies over Valari glowed with strange symbols. Every screen, every display interrupted messages in English. Simple words: "You took our trust, you took our people. We are coming." And then the power grid failed. Darkness swept across the capital city. No missiles, no explosions, just silence and fear. Back on Earth, Alina Voss watched the global network map. Dozens of Revenant ships were now active across known space. Some remained cloaked. Others showed themselves openly. "They're retreating," she said, pointing at council fleets. Kale nodded. "They're trying to regroup." "You think they'll strike us together?" "Yes," Kale said. "And that's what we want." She looked surprised. "We do." He turned to her. eyes hard. They betrayed us together. Let them fall together. At the edge of Council territory, a large fleet of Zyran and Valari ships gathered over 600 vessels, battlecruisers, dreadnoughts, plasma rammers. They formed a united wall. "This is the day we break the humans," said Admiral Tazek of the Valari. His second-in-command asked, "Sir, are we sure about this? We've never fought their revenant ships directly," Tazek growled. "We outnumber them 10 to 1. They rely on tricks, shadows. They've never faced full force, but deep in space, hidden just outside the sensor range. For revenant ships, waited Phantom, Shade Ruin, Wraith. They didn't speak, they didn't warn, they moved like death. And they struck first. The first wave of Zyran ships lost all power mid-flight. Their weapons shut down, their shields dissolved. One by one, they imploded silently. No explosions, just metal folding into nothing. The second wave opened fire, but their shots curved, bent, and disappeared. Then Shade activated its main system, the Valari. Dreadnought 5 kilometers. Long dash, vanished. Not destroyed, vanished. As if it had never existed. The Zyran admiral screamed orders, pull back now." But it was too late. Wraith cut through their command lines. A long black beam tore across ships like paper in 6 minutes. 80% of the Allied fleet was gone. Inside the council hall, they received the report. "Entire joint fleet neutralized," said the Korth technician. "No survivors." The hall went silent. Telvek dropped his staff. "This isn't war," he whispered. "This is punishment." The Zyran ambassador stood trembling. "They're erasing our history." The Korth elder finally spoke. "You erased their future first." In a hidden chamber, the council formed an emergency vote. "Petition to label Earth a Level 0 threat," Telvek said. "A galactic extinction-level enemy." No one opposed, but one voice, faint and hollow, asked, "What now?" Telvek replied, "We pray they stop." Back on Earth, Kale watched the stars from his command tower. Alina entered quietly. "They're calling for peace," she said. He didn't turn around. "Of course they are, now that they bleed." She walked closer. "We've made our point," Kale turned to her, calm but firm. "Have we?" She hesitated. "How far are we going to take this?" Kale's eyes glowed with quiet fury. "To the end?" Across the galaxy, whispers spread of revenant ships that hovered like ghosts, of chimera, soldiers walking through fire without pain, of entire cities that turned to dust overnight. No war declarations, no broadcasts, just silence. And then, Fire.1. Council World said it best. They begged for help once. We ignored them, now they don't beg. They arrive. In the silence after 1,000 victories, Earth itself begins to grow cold. Not just in the skies, but in the hearts of its people. Revenge has become survival. Mercy has become weakness. And even those who once fought for peace now wonder, what is left of humanity when the war never ends? The war room was quiet. For the first time in weeks, no alarms sounded, no urgent messages, no new reports of enemy fleets. But the silence was not peace. It was the sound of something darker, the cost of victory. General Kale stood alone near the main display. Dozens of systems blinked red, marking colonies lost, enemies destroyed, and Council fleets turned to ash. A separate screen showed the tally of Earth's actions. Council planets silenced, 6 civilian colonies erased, 3 military fleets dismantled, 11 enemy survivors. 0. He stared at it without blinking. Behind him, Alina Voss entered quietly. "You haven't slept," she said. Kale didn't answer. She walked. "Closer. I just got back from Europa 5. He looked at her. "I saw the chimera," she said. "They weren't fighting, they were sitting." "In the ruins? Silent?" Kale asked, waiting for orders. "No," she said. "It didn't feel like that." He turned away again. "They were made for war. That's what they do." She spoke softly. "But what do we become if we become like them?" Kale said nothing. Across Earth, strange changes had begun. Children played war games in the streets, but now they used chimera masks. Songs were written about vengeance, not hope. Schools stopped teaching about other species. Some books were banned. Every building flew Earth's new black flag, the Revenant. Mark burned across a silver planet. Some called it protection, Others whispered of a slow, quiet death not of the body, but of the soul. In one of Earth's outer districts, an old woman named Mara sat with her grandson in a quiet home. She had once been a council ambassador. She had spoken to the stars, shaken alien hands, made peace. Now, she was forgotten. Her grandson, Malik, looked up from the news. "They say we destroyed 12 more ships," he said with a smile. "We're unbeatable now." She turned to him. "Do you think that's something to celebrate?" He blinked. "Aren't we winning?" She sighed. "Maybe. But do you know why we used to fight?" He shrugged. "To survive." She nodded. "Yes, but also to stay human." He frowned. "What's the difference?" She didn't answer. She just looked at the sky and whispered, "We used to know." Back in Earth Command, Alina stood before the Global Council. A few older leaders had returned from underground bunkers. Most were gone, replaced by military AI commanders and strategists. She stood straight, her voice clear. "I request a pause. 1 week, no attacks, no missions, just silence." Someone laughed. "Why?" asked General Armin. "So the council can regroup? So we can remember ourselves." Alina replied. Kale entered the room mid-speech. He walked to the front. "Alina speaks with reason," he said, "but reason didn't answer our cries for help." The room was quiet. He continued. "We begged. We were ignored. We lost billions. And now we strike not just for survival, but for memory." Alina spoke again, her voice stronger. "Then let us remember what kind of species we are." Kale looked at her for a long moment. Then he said, "Give her 3 days, not for mercy, for clarity." On the moon-base outpost, a chimera stood alone on a high ridge, watching Earth turn slowly below. His name had once been Dax. Now he was just Unit 27. Another chimera joined him. "Unit 12, she asked me what I feel." Unit 12 said, "Who?" Dax asked. "That human doctor? The one checking our blood?" "And what did you say?" I said, "Nothing." But I thought something. Dax turned toward him. I thought, I don't want to go back into the fire. In deep space, the revenant ship Oblivion returned from another silent mission. No celebration, no noise. Just a blinking message sent. To Earth Command, target destroyed, no resistance. Planet neutralized, awaiting new orders. Alina read the message and shook her head. "They don't even think anymore," Kale replied. "They were never made to think, just act." She looked at him. "Then maybe we need to stop giving orders." Suddenly, an alert flashed across the board. "Unauthorized signal, intercepted." Kale leaned forward. "What kind of signal?" "Unknown," the tech replied. "It's human." The screen flickered. A shaky image appeared. A woman with dark hair. Dust on her face. "Behind her ruins, this is Captain Saravel of the colony Reacher's Edge," she said. "We are alive. We survived the Zyran attack. We never joined the council. We are loyal. Please, don't forget us." The screen cut out. Alina whispered, "We thought they were gone." Kale stood still. Then quietly he said, "Reach Edge was marked as lost months ago." "They're asking for help," she said. Kale paused, then nodded. "Send a signal. Prepare an aid ship. No revenants, no chimera, just people." It was the first time in months Earth had sent something that didn't kill. The ship reached Reacher's Edge quietly. The survivors looked broken thin, tired, hungry, but alive. When the doors opened and human medics stepped out, they wept. One child asked, "Are you here to punish us?" The medic smiled. "No, we're here to bring you home." And in that moment, the war paused. Just for a breath, just long enough to remember what Earth once was. Back on Earth, Kale stood alone outside the command tower. Alina joined him. "They're calling it a miracle," she said. He nodded. It was hope. She looked at him. "There's still something good in us." He didn't answer. She turned to leave, but he called after her. "Alina." She stopped. "If I fall too far," he said softly, "pull me back." She looked at him for a long moment. "I will." And high above them, in silent orbit, the revenant ships waited like shadows, and the chimera soldiers stood in the dark. Still and ready, but for the first time, Earth itself breathed again. The heart still burned, but maybe not cold forever. In the dark of space, a silent fleet approaches Earth. No banners, no warnings, only shadows. They are the galaxy's deadliest killers elite. Assassins bred for only one task: kill the leaders of Earth and end the war. But the moment they touch Earth's soil, they vanish. And Earth whispers back, "You came to kill gods with knives." It started with a whisper in a hidden chamber on the far side of the Council world Revalin. 5 figures sat in shadow, each war armor laced with dark crystal. None spoke aloud. They communicated in pulses, silent thoughts, shared across forbidden frequencies. They were unit null assassins created by the Valarian Zyran syndicates. No name, no past. Only one mission: end Earth's leadership. Decapitate the command. Break their will. A Zyran commander stepped forward and laid out the plan. The humans are strong in fleets, strong in fire, but their leaders bleed like anyone else. Cut the head, and the war ends. The assassins nodded once and vanished into the void. On Earth, it was a quiet night. General Kale stood on the rooftop of Command Tower Sigma, looking down over the city. After months of fire, Earth had found a strange silence. Children were playing again. Lights returned to homes. A tiny laugh reached his ears from far below. Beside him, Alina walked up, holding a report. 3 more colonies have returned. They want to come back under Earth's flag. Peacefully. Kale nodded. They remember where they belong. She hesitated. "We're winning, Kale." His voice was calm. "That doesn't mean we stop." He turned, eyes locked on the stars. "It means we finish what we started." Far above, a Council stealth ship entered Earth orbit. No. Revenant ship detected it. No AI fired, because it was built to pass through any defense. Invisible, cold, deadly, inside. Unit Null prepared 5. Assassins. Each had once killed kings, burned cities, ended wars before they began. Now, they would hunt Earth's High Command at 2:46 Earth Standard Time. The first assassin landed in the shadow sector of New Tokyo. He moved like smoke. No sound, no motion. He blended into the city. At 2:52, he entered an access tunnel beneath the city's AI grid at 2:53. He stopped. The tunnel lights flickered. A low hum echoed through the walls. A pair of red eyes opened in the dark. The assassin reached for his blade. Too late, a chimera stepped from the shadows. 7 feet tall, pale skin, quiet breathing. It didn't speak, it just moved. Fast one strike, no scream, no scream, silence at 3:02. The second assassin infiltrated Earth's primary data tower in Iceland. He was a tech disruptor, designed to melt AI minds with a thought. He plugged into the mainframe, grinning under his mask. He sent the virus. But the screen blinked back at him.
"Hello."
He froze. The interface glitched, twitched, and then laughed. Not a machine laugh, a human one. Then the virus reversed, and the assassin's implants fried. He screamed, then went silent. The lights in the tower turned red, and across the data grid, a message blinked. "Nice try." At 3:13, the final 3 assassins landed together. Outside Earth Command Tower, they wore black suits of folded gravity. No sensors detected them. They climbed the tower silently, floor after floor, past guards, past cameras, until they reached Kale's office. He was alone, looking out the window. They moved in, fast, silent, weapons drawn. But Kale didn't turn around. He just said, "Took you long enough." The assassins froze. Then the wall behind them turned transparent. A massive chimera squad stood ready, dozens. Kale finally turned to face them. He smiled. "You thought we didn't see you coming?" The assassins reached for their blades. The chimeras moved faster. What followed wasn't a fight. It was a lesson in pain, in speed, in fear. None of the assassins escaped. Across the galaxy, the Council waited for news. Hours passed. No messages returned. Then, a single ship floated back toward Council space. Its lights were off, its engines dead inside. 5 assassin masks sat on the floor, and scratched into the wall was a human sentence: "Don't come again." Panic spread through the Council. "They knew!" the Zyran ambassador screamed. "They knew before we landed. They must be using future tech." "No," the Korth elder said. "They're just watching now, all the time, everywhere." A young diplomat whispered, "Then, what do we do?" And no one had an answer. Back on Earth, Kale stood before a crowd of soldiers and civilians. He raised his voice. They sent shadows to kill us in our sleep. And now, those shadows are gone. The crowd was silent. Kale stepped forward. We are not afraid of blades, or bombs, or betrayal. We stood alone, and now the galaxy hides from us. Cheers erupted. But Alina stood in the back, her face thoughtful. Later, she walked beside Kale as the crowd left. "They'll never stop trying," she said. He nodded. Then we never stopped watching. That night, Earth's skies lit up again, not from fire, but from signals. Hundreds of colonies, old, broken, abandoned, began sending messages. "Earth, is it safe to come home? We have waited. We are still loyal." And Earth answered them all. Yes. The assassins had come in silence, but Earth answered with thunder, and the message was clear. We are not prey. We are the storm. Above Earth, space itself tears open. A massive anomaly swirls into view, black light, impossible geometry, ancient power. From the rift comes them, the true force behind the council, the ones who watched silently from beyond the stars. They've come to erase Earth. But Earth has been waiting, and the sky will burn before it bows. It began with a sound no one could hear, not a boom, not a scream, but a pressure, a feeling in the bones, in the blood, like the stars themselves were gasping. The first anomaly appeared above Jupiter, a swirling rift of inverted colors. A ship. It was. A door. And something ancient was stepping through. In the council hall, panic erupted. They've arrived. They never were. They are the architects. The room fell silent. Whispers spread, the ones who built the council, the ones who watched from the shadows. The ones no race dared name. They were coming. Not to fight. To end. On Earth, all screens flickered. A voice not human. You were meant to fall. Now, we unmake you. Alina looked up at the stars. Their size was unimaginable. Each one the size of a moon. But they didn't fire. They just moved. And wherever they passed, hesitated, and deep underground, the old war AI Vindicator awoke. Fully it spoke for the first time in centuries. Detected. Pre-origin threat. Level. Final directive unlocked. Code Leviathan. Earth's extinction is now permitted. Kale read the message aloud, then said, "No, not today. On Mars, in hidden bunkers, Earth revealed its last weapons. Leviathan wielders, experimental ships created to reshape space itself. Never used. 2 unstable. Now they rose, 3 of them. Judgment, Tempest, ASH, FALL. Each powered by ancient energy. Human and something else. Kale gave the order. Launch all 3. As the architect's ships neared Earth, they finally changed. Shape. They began to fold, forming blades, longer than mountains, splitting it like glass. On the ground, people ran to shelters, not out of fear, but in case this was truly the end. Then Judgment struck back. The human-built Leviathan charged forward, its outer hull melting from pressure. It didn't matter inside. A crew of 20 humans stared death in the face. Captain Reyna Vucelina's sister gave the command, Fire Soul Core. A new type of weapon, a gravity storm, exploded from the ship's front. It didn't burn, it crushed light. One architect ship blinked, then folded in on itself, vanishing into silence. The galaxy watched. Stunned. Earth had just killed a god on Earth. The people didn't cheer. They watched. They waited. Kale's voice rang across the channels. To the beings who call themselves architects, we are not your creation. We are the storm that survived you. The architects responded. Their ships pulsed once, then they all moved together. Their light blackened the stars above Earth. The final battle began. Judgment and Ashfall took formation. Tempest moved to intercept the second architect spear. Revenant ships joined them, not to win, but to stand. And then the Chimera arrived. They had come without orders. They launched into space, no suits, no weapons, just their bodies, their rage, their legacy. They landed on Architect. We're going to breach the central core. If this doesn't work, Alina whispered, I'll finish it. Kale stood beside her. For once, he had no orders, just hope. Inside the Architect core ship, Judgment breached the inner wall. Reyna and her crew ejected. Inside. They saw it. A being. Tall, faceless, made of stars. It raised a hand, half signal. Then a flicker. and one by one, the architect ships exploded. The sky cracked open, and the stars returned. Later, Alina received a single transmission. Her sister's voice, weak, still here, still human. Kale addressed the world. This was never just a war for land or pride. This was a war for our right to exist. He raised his hand, and we won. But even in victory, Earth remembered something important: pain, loss, sacrifice, and this time they would not forget. After the architects fell, the stars went silent. Every race in the galaxy waited for punishment, for peace, or for fire. But Earth did not speak until now. Understood what it meant to stand alone and win. The war was over. No more alarms, no more emergency messages, no more rifts in the sky. The architect ships had vanished into dust. Their black fire no longer darkened the stars, but Earth was not celebrating. They were remembering. Across the surface of the planet, people lit candles. Thousands gathered beneath the sky. Kale stood at the front. Behind him were the last Chimera, the Leviathan crews, the soldiers, the orphans. Beside him stood Alina Voss. In her hand was a small data ship. Her sister's last message. Kale raised his voice. Today, the stars are free, not because we begged, not because we bargained, but because we fought when no one stood with us. He looked up, they watched us suffer, they called us weak. But today, they will learn what we became when left alone. He stepped back, and Alina took the stand. She pressed the chip. Reyna's voice echoed through the valley. This is for the ones we lost, the ones who stood when the stars turned away. We are the voice that rose when silence answered. We are Earth, and we remember. Across the galaxy, Council worlds received a single signal from Earth. Not a threat, not a demand, just a message. We do not seek your surrender. We do not seek your fear. The High Lord stepped down. The planet declared neutrality for the first time in 1,000 years. Their new flag bore a single word: never again. On Valari, war monuments were melted down, but as a warning and a wonder, even the Korth held a silent vigil 30 hours. Of silence in honor of Earth's fallen, but no delegation dared approach Earth directly. Not yet. Slow, shaky. It hovered over Earth's atmosphere. Waiting Kale allowed it to land. The Navari queen, barely a meter tall, stepped forward and removed her helmet. Her voice was thin but clear. We came not to ask for peace, she said. We came to say, we are sorry. Kale looked at her, saying nothing. But Alina stepped forward. We accept your words, she said. But if you truly respect Earth, then stand with us, not behind us. On the soil, I stand with Earth. Soon, others followed. Ships from every race. Small at first, then larger. One by one, they came not to conquer, not to spy, but to ask a question. What now? And Earth's answer was quiet. Build. Revenant ships were retired, not scrapped as hidden, stored, remembered. The Chimera were given a home of their own. A quiet world where they could live, not fight. Some stayed on Earth, some wandered. Would sit among the quiet giants, saying nothing, and they would nod. He understood them now, because he had become like them. Alina founded the Unity Accord, a new galactic system, at a voice. But Earth held the chair in the center, not because they demanded it, but because no one else dared take it. Years passed. New colonies bloomed. Children grew up knowing Earth, not as a lonely world, but as the fire that changed everything, and in the halls of every academy. Always told the silence war, the time when Earth stood alone. And still one dot in her old age, Alina visited a school on Titan. A young alien child raised a hand. Were humans ever afraid? Alina smiled softly. Yes, she said, every day. Then, how did you win? She looked up at the sky and answered, because we had no choice but to become the thing they feared. On Earth, a memorial was built. No names, no speeches, just a single black wall dot at its center. Carved in stone, they begged the galaxy for help. Only silence answered then. Humanity rose alone, and far above the stars watched quietly, no longer laughing, no longer ignoring, because now